And we will go ahead and get started. Guys can see my screen okay? I'll zoom in a little bit for
Yep.
you. Okay. So, welcome to the One Big Idea. This is how to find your single big idea for your entire business to grow from and have your build your offers, content, and funnel around it. Getting into things. You are always selling. Every piece of content, every email, every DM, you're selling something. The question isn't whether you're selling, the question is what you're selling first. Because here's what most people get wrong, they lead with the offer, and leading with the offer is the hardest way to grow a business. When you put an offer in front of someone, excuse me, you're asking them to make a decision. They have to think it through. They have to weigh the costs, the time, the risks. They have to decide if they trust you enough to hand over their hard earned money. Most of them won't, at least not yet. Not because your offer is bad, but because an offer requires effort to accept, and effort is the enemy of momentum. But ideas are different. When you put an idea in front of someone, they don't just decide, they react. They either feel it or they don't. They either nod along or they scroll right past it. There's no friction, there's no mental math, there's no risk assessment. They just buy in. And once someone buys into your idea, once they see the world the way you see it, selling them the offer becomes almost automatic because they're not buying a product anymore. They're buying the next logical step. Think about the last time you bought something before you fully understood what you were buying. You buy the coach before the coaching. You don't know if the sessions will necessarily work. You just know something about that person that makes you believe they can help you. You buy the lifestyle before the car. Nobody buys a Range Rover for the horsepower specs. They buy the version of themselves sitting in the driver's seat. Me and my wife are going through the family planning right now, and we're even buying the lifestyle of that car before we buy the Toyota, the Honda, something like that. You buy the person before the product. You trust the brand before you read the label. The idea of who made it matters more than what's in it. You buy the belief before the diet. This one, my wife, who's a dietitian, really loves this one. Nobody starts a nutrition plan they don't already believe will work. The idea has to land before the behavior changes. Every single time, the idea came first. The offer just gave it a home. This is how every purchase decision actually works, and it's how yours and my business should work too. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to, excuse me, stop seeing yourself as an offer salesperson. You sell offers, you have products, sure. But what you really are is an idea salesperson because it's always easier to monetize a believer than a non believer. Get someone to buy your idea first, and the offer becomes easy. Get someone to buy your offer first without the idea, and you're grinding for every single sale. You're just putting offers in front of people. And in the world that we live in today, that doesn't really fly. The creators who seem to sell effortlessly, they're not better at sales. They found their idea first, or maybe they found it later. They build their audience around that. And then by the time the offer shows up, people tend to be already sold. That's what we're going to be building today. Now, I want to show you what this looks like in practice, not with a case study, but with someone, not with someone else's business, but with mine. I built a multiple six-figure solo business, and I didn't do it by having the best offer. In my space, I could throw a rock and find people that have similar offers. I did it by finding ideas that people bought before ever asking them to pay anything. Here's how it happened. I'm going to show you three kind of big ideas that run my business. First idea is creators who convert, not just the community of what I call it, but the idea behind it, the line in the sand. Most people in this space talk about growing an audience, building a following, getting reach. And I looked at all of that and thought, that's not the point. There's a story that I use often that's kind of the genesis of Creators Who Convert, where we mapped out how long it was going to take for this individual to grow that audience, reverse engineer the numbers, and kind of flow into Valhalla with her dream business. We're not here to create, we're here to convert new clients, new income, and most importantly, behind the scenes of the name Creators Who Convert, is we're here to convert a new version of our lives. Creators Who Convert isn't just a community name, it's a worldview that I have. The moment someone hears it and thinks, that's me, they're already sold on everything that follows because that identity is something they can only get here. The second idea, offer first. Everyone teaches audience first. I kind of just highlighted that. Grow your following, then monetize it. And I watch people inside and outside of CWC struggle with that order. Building content for months, attracting followers, and still not making any money, coming up with crickets. So I named what I saw. Build the offer first. Know exactly what you're selling and who you're selling it to before you write a single piece of content. That offer is the foundation that everything else is built atop of. That contrarian idea became one of the clearest things I teach, not because I invented it, but because I named it, stood behind it, and made it mine. You're here because you read my emails, and you probably know that every email, or maybe every other email I talk about, it's offer first, because then you know where your ship is going. And the third idea that I want to share with you is just the idea of one. The one-page offer, the one conversation conversion, the one funnel to incomes, one prompt lead machine, one post a day. You've probably seen it over and over and over again. Everything simplified to one thing. Because complexity, is the enemy of execution. And the people I serve are already overwhelmed. They don't need more. They need one clear thing at one clear time to focus on. The idea became my entire product ecosystem. Every masterclass I sell, the one big idea workshop, every workshop I run, all lives under the concept of one. It's a color no one else has because nobody else built their whole business around the simplification. 3 big ideas. All of them emerged from paying attention, naming what I saw, and being willing to say it out loud, even when it felt too simple, too obvious, or too strange. And that's what we're going to do for you today. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to mute everyone. Cool. You can still hear me though, right? Cool. By the end of today's session, you're going to have your one big idea. The concept that your entire business, content, and offer grows from. Not a tagline, not a niche statement, but a color that didn't exist before you named it. Something that answers the most important question any prospect ever asks. Why you and not someone else? When you find it, everything gets easier. Your content has a center of gravity. Your offers have a home, and your audience has a reason to choose you specifically in your crowded and saturated space. And the AI coach I've built for you, which I'll use later, you can use whenever you want, but we can use it later today too. It's going to help you find it. So let's get into it. Now there's 7 methods that I want to go through of the way that I kind of conceptualize this. And so now we get to work. Like I said, I'm going to walk you through 7 methods for finding your one big idea. Some will click immediately. Others might feel like a stretch, and that's fine. Your job right now isn't to judge, it's to generate. This I want to highlight like 1,000 times over. Ideas always start as cringe. Every single one I've built felt too simple, too obvious, too weird when I first named it. Creators Who Convert sounded like a mouthful. One sounded like I wasn't even trying. Build the offer first sounded like something everyone already knew. None of that matters here today. Your job is to protect the cringe idea from yourself long enough for it to prove you wrong. You can open something to write on, a Google Doc, notebook, notes app, whatever. I don't care. Doesn't matter. We're going to go through all 7, and you want to capture everything that comes up. So you can actually do this if you want. But like I said, the AI Coach app that I've built for you is going to spit out results that you can then save and use going forward. So if you want to just pay attention and do it that way, by all means. So the first method, your own version. Every niche has its standard terms, its accepted language, the words everyone used to describe what they do and how they do it. Your job isn't to invent something from scratch. It's to look at what already exists and find your version of it. Every industry has its defaults, sales letters, value letters, discovery calls, content calendars. These things exist because they work, at least for some people. My job wasn't to invent something new with my big idea. It was to look at each one and ask, what's my own version of this? What would this look like if it actually fit how I work and who I serve? So breaking all of this down, a sales letter, plain and simple, showing you I was behind the curtain, became the one-page offer. One page, one promise, one clear next step. The value ladder, bringing people into my ecosystem, first as a lead, then as a customer, then as a client, became the one funnel, two incomes. One funnel that generates two different revenue streams instead of a complex multi-step architecture. Discovery call, I hate discovery calls. That became the one conversation conversion method. Close in a DM instead of on Zoom. Content calendar became the one post a day funnel. One post every day designed to convert. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to put your rims on it. So just some examples kind of showing you splattered up against the wall here. Like I said, the industry default is the sales letter, the landing page. I'm calling it the one-page offer. Okay. The value letter, taking someone into your ecosystem and selling them more and more value at higher price points. Excuse me. One funnel, two incomes. Discovery call, I threw that away and did the one conversation conversion. Content calendar, for me, is a one post a day. So if you want to actually do this exercise, you can write down 3 to 5 terms, sayings, or frameworks that exist in your niche. I probably, doing this so you don't overthink things, I would just write down what actually exists at this moment, right? So if we were putting my wife under the microscope, we could do like the Mediterranean diet, the most popular diet in the world, one of the most effective diets in the world, right? Is that something that she can take and rename? Moving along, excuse me, to method 2. Let me get like a barometer check real quick. Is that like making any sense, at least with the first one we went through? I see a head nodding, 2 heads nodding. It's almost like we're listening to EDM music or something together. Cool. So method 2, your model and tools. People don't buy outcomes as much as we think they do. They buy certainty. They buy the feeling that someone has a plan and knows exactly how to get them from where they are to where they want to be. So yes, they buy the outcome, but they buy the certainty that the outcome will work for them. Most people in your space tell clients what they'll achieve. Very few show them the exact path, stage by stage, tool by tool, with named steps that create a sense of order where there was chaos before. When you map your model and give each stage a name, those names become part of your big ideas. Not because the stages are original, but every business has stages. Every business has stages, but because only you call them what you call them. So if we were to blow my business up, I call it one-step marketing, each step involved inside. It's what's inside CWC. Every stage has a clear job. Every tool has a name. The whole thing moves in one direction. So the first stage in my ecosystem is someone that's a stranger, right? They have no idea who I am, but I have content online that brings them into my world. The tool that I use to take them from stranger to follower is my one post a day tool, funnel, system. Okay. Once they're a follower and they want to learn more, my tool is 1-minute content emails. It's a tool that I have inside CWC that shows you how to write emails, build lead magnets, and bring people from a follower into a lead. When I have leads, I'm not going to ask them for $5,000 straight away. That it's very, very, very hard to build your business that way unless you're in like enterprise or something like that. So what I do is I invite people to become customers and join me in master classes like a lot of you are here today, right? For a price point that isn't going to ask you too much of an investment to join us. So you can get a taste more in this world. Then from customer, I have the one-page offer that brings you into a client, which is in my community CWC. So each stage that I'm bringing you through has a tool associated to it. Notice what this does. It doesn't just tell you where you're going, it tells you exactly what moves you from one stage to the next. That's what certainty looks like, and certainty sells. Now, think about your own clients. What stages do they move through in working with you? What tool, method, or approach connects each stage to the next? Write those down and give them each a name. Again, if you don't have the actual tool yet, just map out how does someone go from, I'm guessing because you're all here, you're either on Twitter, Substack, LinkedIn, somewhere online trying to grow your business. So the first step would be they go from stranger to follower or reader, right? Just map that out. We don't need to get the actual name of the tool in there, but that can come later on through osmosis if you map it out first, what each person goes through. Maybe, again, just looking at it, because I don't know who's all here, but maybe your enterprise, right? And it's a shorter sales cycle where you're just bringing people on from exposure, distribution, or follower to conversation to client. Like that's okay if that's your whole ecosystem. Okay. Method 3, the central focus. This happens pretty much for everyone, but 2, and see that as like more, can be in the exact same niche, serve the exact same market, and still be completely different because of what they focus on. From the outside, they look identical. Same topic, same audience, same general promise. But in the inside, they're solving different problems. One is focused on growth, the other is focused on conversion. One is teaching creation, the other is teaching cash. Your central focus is the lens through which you see everything. It's not what you do, it's how you think about what you do. And when you name it, it becomes the thing that separates you from everyone else in your space. Excuse me. Inside CWC, the central focus is conversion over creation. Will I teach you creation? Of course, that's part of it. But the lens I want to view everything through is conversion first. Most creator focused businesses optimize for audience size, more followers, more reach, more content. That's not wrong. That's just not what we care about inside CWC the most. What we care about is whether it converts. Content that doesn't convert isn't content, it's noise. That single focus shapes everything. The offers we build, the content we write, the metrics we track. So just looking on it, this is almost like an us versus them type of deal. What everyone else focuses on, audience size. What I focus on, what we focus on, conversion. What everyone focuses on, content volume. Be everywhere. What's that movie? Everything, everywhere, all at once. CWC, offer first. Everyone else, complex funnels, get advertising, meta advertising. First, get them in for free, then give them a $7 tripwire, then send them into a funnel and book it's like way, way, way too much, right? So what do we focus on in CWC? One step at a time. What are you focused on that others in your space ignore? Where are you looking that they're not? Name that focus and you have your big idea. So we can write down some of the ideas here. I just want to check the chat. Best movie ever. The movie was pretty insane. Okay. Method 4. Awkward sip. The contrarian idea. Every niche has its gospel, the accepted wisdom, the thing that everyone says you should do, the order you should do it in, and the way that it's always been taught. And somewhere in you, there's something that doesn't quite believe it. That friction, that disagreement with how things are supposed to work, that's where our big ideas come from. You take the accepted practice, look at it honestly, and say, actually, no. Here's what I've seen work instead. The accepted wisdom in the creator space is grow your audience first, then monetize it, build the following. You can see that all of these are kind of hinting on the same thing, but just from different vantage points. It sounds logical, but I watch people inside CWC do that. Spend months building content, growing a following, attracting an audience, and still not make money because they had no offer, they had no clear thing to sell. They built the stage with no show. So I named what I believe instead. Build the offer first. Know exactly what you're selling, who you're selling it to, before you write a single piece of content. The offer isn't the reward at the end of the content journey. It's the foundation everything is built on. It's this clear sense of direction. It's the path. It's how you know where you're going, who you're talking to, and what the content is going to be about. So when they take the next step, everything leads to the starting point. That contrarian stance became one of the clearest ideas I teach. Not because I invented it, I definitely did not, but because I'm willing to say it directly, stand behind it, and make it mine. So again, just showing you side by side how these would look, right? I'm taking the conventional wisdom and saying, actually, if we approached it from this angle, we have a different path we can go down. Method 5, under your nose. This is the easiest method, but often one people miss entirely. Your big idea is probably already there. You've probably already said it. Your audience has already heard it. Some of them have already repeated back to you, but you just haven't recognized it as the idea yet because you've been too close to your own work to see it from the outside. I built entire masterclasses around concepts I've been casually teaching on calls for months before I realized they were products. The idea was already validated. My audience already believed it. I just hadn't been paying attention to what they were reflecting back to me. So, true story. This was back in, I believe, April of 2025. One of the clients came through, Miriam was her name, came through CWC and we were building out her offer. And she was a fractional growth advisor, helping startups find, measure, and retain their app users. She was in San Francisco, crazy, just business she was building. And during our onboarding call, she kept using a word to describe her best clients. They were fanatics, people who couldn't live without the app. They were power users. They were true believers. She kept saying it casually, like it was nothing. I stopped her. That word, fanatics, became the entire foundation of her offer. You know, if we have time, I'll actually go into my Google Drive and see if I can find it so you can see what it looks like. Not app users, not retention metrics. We built her whole positioning around finding fanatics for your app. Even the steps in her offer had like fanatic, I think it was like outlining, fanatic capture. It was really cool. The word she already had in her mouth became the color no one else had. Your clients are doing this right now. They're using a word, a phrase, a way of describing their problem, that you gave them, and you're not even noticing. Here's how to find it. Ask yourself, what do my clients keep asking me about even after I've answered it? What term or concept do they use when describing their problems that sound like something I taught them? What did I say once that got an outsized reaction and then I never said again? Okay, method 6, identity. Excuse me. Identity is the most powerful force in buying decisions, more powerful than price, more powerful than logic, more powerful than features, benefits, or social proof. When someone buys into an identity, they're not buying a product, they're buying a version of themselves they want to become. And the only way to belong to that identity is through you. The most powerful big ideas aren't concepts, they're identities. They give people something to be, not just something to buy. So this is a real email, and it's one of my highest converting, when I say performing, emails that I've ever sent. So it reads, there are creators who craft for an audience, and then there are creators who convert, calling out the identity directly in the email. And then I label what is a creator who converts. They focus on income first, then growth. They message like a human, not like a robot. In the one conversation conversion method, there's so many people that are just stencilized. Hey, love your post. Let's hop on a call. It just doesn't work, right? They don't chase clients. They either kick, keep, or convert. They start with the offer to hone their niche and positioning. They don't waste their time with sales calls. They use text instead. They post content to attract leads already looking for them. They build pressure with their offers, which help convert more, and convert their audience into clients to make a lot of money, right? The moment someone reads this and thinks, that's me, they're already inside your world. They don't need to be sold. They need to be told where to go next. That's what identity does. It self-selects the right people and gives them a home they didn't know they were looking for. So just some identities that work. We have mine. We've gone through that. But if you guys are familiar with George 10, right, of copy thinker, the identity that he created, you are not a copywriter. You're a thinker who uses copy as a vehicle for their ideas to sell. Cody Sanchez, the contrarian thinker. She came from finance, but she's not a finance person. She is pretty much taking the boring business idea and saying you can build a business by just, what's the term? Capturing and actualizing the silver wave that's coming. Justin Welsh, the solopreneur. He's not a founder or a CEO. He's someone who chose simplicity and a one-person leverage over scale. He talks about that all the time. I'm not interested in a team. I'm not interested in scaling to $50 million. He's interested in enjoying his time, building a successful business. And if you're a part of that too, come and join him on this journey. Even John talking beforehand, like Lara, I would say Lara has crafted this identity. Okay. And if you're part of that, then come along for the journey with her. None of these identities describe what these people do. They describe who they are and who their audience gets to become by working with them. Quite challenging to just answer straight away here. That's why I have a tool that helps you out. But what identity do you embody? What 3 things do you stand for that your best clients would want to be associated with? Number 7, the North Star. People are anxious, overwhelmed, constantly unsure if they're working on the right thing in the right order for the right reason. That's what they're looking for. More than tactics, more than frameworks, more than step-by-step systems. They're looking for a North Star, a single simplified belief that cuts through all the noise and tells them, this is the direction, go here. The most powerful North Stars are almost offensively simple. They sound too obvious, too reductive, and that's exactly why they work. Because simplicity in a complex world feels like relief. Look at the ones that have built entire movements, right? Paul Graham, the legendary investor, do things that don't scale. He has all the scale in the world, but he talks about having real conversations, doing work one-on-one with people, do things that don't scale. Gary V, another titan. Document, don't create. Document everything that you're doing. And you look, I feel like he has 10 videos of him just having conversations every single day, right? Simon Sinek. If you've read the book, you know the essence of this, but start with why, right? Don't start with what you do. Don't start with how you help people. Start with why you're doing and building the business that you're building. Again, looking at mine, that pales in comparison to all of theirs. The offer is the strategy. Each of those is one sentence, arguably too simple, reductive to a point of feeling almost incomplete. And yet they're unforgettable because they point somewhere specific. One person too, maybe you know who he is, but Jay Yang, you can just do things, right? It's a North Star of like, it doesn't matter what idea, what dream, what goal you have. You can just do things. You want to write a book? He's writing his 2nd book right now. He's 20 years old, right? That's a North Star that he uses as his own internal compass and what he gives to other people that enter into his world. Like I've said already, Mine is the offer is the strategy, not the content, not the funnel, not the audience, not the offer. Build that first, and then everything else is a foundation to grow from. That single belief is the North Star behind everything inside CWC. What do you believe so completely that you'd reduce your entire business down to one sentence? What is the thing, the one thing that if your audience understood it, excuse me, would change everything for them? That's your North Star. And when you name it, it becomes the clearest big idea you have. Okay. So I just want to pause here real quick. You can give me like a thumbs up, a nod. Is this at least, it doesn't need to sink in and you don't have to have the epiphany right now, but is at least from 35,000 feet, this making sense of like different viewpoints, different vantage points of how to find your big idea? Okay. So we've just worked through the 7 methods. You have the raw material. Let me see if, okay. I'll circle back to the chat in a second. You've worked through the 7 methods. You have a raw material, probably more than you expected. Some of it will feel obvious. Some of it will feel strange, probably super strange, and almost like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Some of it will feel not quite there yet. That's exactly where you need to be. Big ideas, like I said, always start as cringe. When I went public after doing beta client testing with CWC, I thought it was the stupidest name in the world. Maybe all of you here still think it's stupid, but at least you're able to see it and conceptualize. Maybe that's just growing up Catholic. You think everything you do is bad. I don't know. But you can at least embody what it's supposed to mean when you become a creator who converts. Okay? Your job was to generate, not judge. The judging comes next. I want you to look, if you wrote things down, look back at everything you wrote, circle the 2 to 3 ideas that feel most like you. Not the most polished, not the most remarkable, but the ones that feel the most true. Those are your candidates, and the AI coach you're about to use is going to help you pressure test them and find the one worth building your entire business around. Okay. So I was going to do running through this here, but I think a better way of doing this is going to be during like the Q&A, because I'll actually send you the tool that you can use. We can do it together. You can do it on your own. It sometimes takes a little bit of time, sometimes not, depending on how much caffeine you've had. But it asks you one question at a time. So it's essentially the brain dump of this CWC, this presentation, and it's treated almost like a survey. If you know a survey, sometimes you take it and you're like, you've just asked me the same question 4 times. Why are you asking me the same? But it's from a different vantage point to see a different angle and different language of how you respond to it. And then it will spit out 5 ideas, ranking them of where it thinks you have the most kind of most value going forward. Like I said, here I'm trying to edit this thing, but it isn't really working. I say I'm going to run through it live myself. Let's do it in like 2 minutes after I give you this presentation. I can do it on my screen. However, that's going to be your guys' time. So, okay. Here's what you now have that you didn't have 60 minutes ago. We're actually going kind of quick, but you have the raw material, the ideas that came from your own experience, your own clients, your own frustrations with how your niche operates. Some of them may be fully formed. Most of them probably aren't, and that's fine. That's how this works. The idea doesn't arrive polished. It arrives as a feeling, a phrase that sounds almost right, a word someone said back to you that stuck. Your job right now isn't to be perfect with it. It's to protect it long enough to pressure test it. That's what the OBI is for. Take it after today, run your own session, see what comes back, answer honestly. Don't try to sound smart. I'm going to show you a way that I think intuitively works better for using it. But it is yours to use. So use it however you wish. But the best ideas come from the most straightforward answers. Okay. And then bring back what you find here. If you're in CWC, to the community, to the calls, that's where we're going to sharpen things together, because ideas are a chaotic process and it's going back and forth quickly is how you get from it's almost right to that's the one. Once OBI gives you reflection and your one big idea candidate, don't let it sit in a tab you'll close tomorrow. There are two places that I want you to do immediately, to go and use it immediately. And the first one is with your one page offer. I want you to open 1 hour offer and paste your OBI output directly into your context. Your one big idea is the language your offer should be built around, the framing, the promise, the reason someone chooses you over someone else. If your offer doesn't reflect your big idea, it's missing the foundation. It almost just looks like it's a stale offer that your prospect has seen over and over and over and over again. Your offer doesn't reflect your big idea. It's missing the foundation. Use what OBI gave you to pressure test every line. Does your headline reflect the idea? Does your premise sound like it's something only you could say? If not, that's your edit point. The second thing is in your 1 minute content. Your big idea is your content strategy. Every post, every email, every piece of content you create should be selling the idea before it sells the offer. Take the 5 supporting ideas OBI surfaced and treat them as your content pillars for the next 30 days. 1 idea per week. Each piece of content plants a flag a little deeper. By the time someone sees your offer, they've already bought the worldview behind it. It's the entire game. Find the idea, build the offer around it, let the content spread it. Everything compounds from there. And for the rest of the time, I have for the next 30 minutes, but we can go as long as you want. It's exactly what we'll do. We'll bring the raw ideas, the ones that feel close, the ones that you wrote down and immediately second guessed, the ones worth workshopping. Who wants to go first? So let me share this with everyone. This is yours. And I think what I'm going to do is when I send the recording of this, it might be on a different link because I'm just worried sometimes that this one, because it's a link that was auto-generated, not one that like I own, that something might happen to it. So I think I'm going to create a different link for you guys. But if you could just open that real quick, let me know if it opens for you, and then scroll down to open OBI. And that's where your tool is going to live. And then I will show you real quick how I would treat this. Oops, I think I just sent. There we go. I sent the link to my AI note-taking app who's in this meeting. I didn't send it to you guys. So if you could just open that real quick, let me know it opens because I'm experimenting with how I built this presentation. I just want to make sure it works for you first. And then if you could scroll down near the bottom and click the black button. Okay, it opened. Click the black button and see if the app opens for you as well. Okay. OBI open for you. And here, I can actually unmute you guys too.
It's in Vercel.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, it's working.
Okay. So we can put someone under the microscope if they want to. Here's what I do. It's probably been like 3, maybe 4 weeks that I've been doing this. I think it's a sign that you're getting older as I've held on to I'm a better typer and articulating my thoughts than I am a speaker because I write content all the time and stuff like that. So I've been typing even in AI and different apps that I use and stuff like that. But I've downloaded an app where now I do dictation like crazy. And so what I would do, some of the best results that I've gotten when using this app that's going to take you through a sequence of different questions is I use an app you pay for. It's called Whisper Flow, but you can do the free trial. And if you don't want to pay for anything, excuse me, and do 2,000 words a week, and you'll be just fine, especially for doing this. But yeah, I would just speak in the beginning. I can run through this. We'll kind of do a little polling here, unless someone wants to, um, when someone wants to go into the microscope, and I can try to use my mic, have you speak into it, and do it that way. This is your guys' playground. Or we can just talk through the presentation too. It's up to you. This is Q&A. This is your guys' time.
think I'm Hi, I'm Jose. I think I'm off mute, so I don't mind sharing.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't really started this. So for context, I got laid off in tech, but I'm starting my own consulting company now. So um, what I'm gonna do is consulting around AI, consulting about user experience and employee experience. So basically, I'm that weird kid that kind of reads about everything and knows a little bit of everything, but doesn't specialize in anything. So that's kind of what I want to do with my business. And so, yeah, so I would say thank you so much for everything you've shared so far, John. The content is top notch. It's amazing.
Well, and you joined CWC this morning, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you haven't already looked, there's the orientation video that's just going to give you like a 35,000 foot view of what to do in like week one, week two, and then what to do going forward. But I would be a stone cold liar. And like I already said, I grew up Catholic, so I can't sleep at night if I did that. Number one thing we're going to do together, Jose, is we're going to map your offer first. Okay. There's plenty of resources for you to learn the concept of how we're going to structure the offer, but then I'm going to be your resource and help you edit it together. We have to start there before, because it's not like a red flag, but it just makes it harder. And everyone pretty much goes through this step is when you say, like, I do this, I do this, I do this. I'm well versed in all these, but master of none, right? Can you build a business and an offer around that? Yes. It is way more difficult in the beginning to do that than getting specific on one thing and then having that mold, grow, evolve over time. So we'll work together. I'm going to be your resource in finding more specific of a thing that we can craft into an offer that'll give you a clear sense of direction in client acquisition, content, all of those things. Because if we start too wide, again, that's more of the people that I'm against, which is just let's go wide, let's do audience, and we'll figure it out later. A lot of the times, it's way too hard to figure it out later. Does all of that make sense? You're muted if you are talking.
Yeah, sorry, I'm about to drive. Yeah,
Oh
all
no.
makes sense. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. Thank you.
no worries. Okay. And the same goes for you, Nija. You don't need to unmute if you have something going on, but I saw you joined recently too. Um, the same that I just said to Jose. We'll work together with your offer. Um, okay, no worries. I just didn't want you to think I didn't see you. So, but yeah, does anyone want to speak? I'll see if the microphone can pick up, and we'll see it here together. But if you're like, John, relax, I'm good. That's cool too.
I'm excited to try it offline.
Yeah, and like here, I hope I nailed this in the presentation, but I know you, John, have a lot of resources that you can reach out to with people. Is like when we're so close to our thing, and even the output, this goes for everyone, but even the output that it gives you, I think this is part of just being a human being, is there's probably going to be outputs where you're like, this is shit. Like this sucks. And I think that's again a product of it just being so close to us that I would invite you to let it marinate, share it with people that you trust, that would know some of the context of what you're trying to fill out. Because I bet it's not as cringe as your initial gut reaction is going to make it seem, you know. Um, so yeah.
Hey, I have a question, John.
Go for it.
I guess it's overall. So from what we were writing down, so it's got like your the creators should convert, like the offer first and the idea of one, which are all super clear. You've made a lot of sense you talking through it, so I appreciate that. So this one big idea, is this supposed to be one of those or multiple of these things that we kind of were creating, I guess, or establishing?
Yeah, there's no like you don't need to have so part of my big idea is the concept of one, right? So if I
Right.
said like your three big ideas, it wouldn't sound sexy, right? So in my presentation, I gave you essentially what I have with my business is three ideas that I kind of work with. That just happened. Um, I'd say the biggest one that I try to leverage because it makes, I think, the most sense for the people entering into my world in my business, but it also makes the most sense for me to like stick with this and go forward is offer first. I think that's the one I lean on the most, where like my products become one and the community and yes, the identity of CWC is there. You don't need one for like this to satisfy anything. If you have like two that go back and forth. Well, at least tell me what is like the space that you work in.
Uh,
I don't
I'm in
remember.
marketing. I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
simply.
And we did your offer, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Well, I remember you had something come up, and it's good to see you
Yeah,
again. Yeah. Um, take me
yeah. So
through.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say we have like, I bet I'm like 95% there, and I think it's kind of trying to get down to that like singular focus was my, and that's kind of been my issue
Well,
often.
take as sloppy as it is, take me through the outcome again. It doesn't need to be like the end all be all, but just refresh my memory
Sure,
on
sure.
the offer.
So I started in the nonprofit world and then did small businesses. I just noticed that like so many small businesses and nonprofits were wasting time and money on marketing that didn't work. So when I kind of went into business, I was really focusing on startups, smaller business, nonprofits that didn't think they could afford marketing. I had to pivot a little bit because people couldn't afford marketing, and that didn't work out too well. But I'm focusing on like smaller businesses that don't have huge budgets, but at least I can get kind of like the building blocks in place, specifically like a clear story. I was working with StoryBrand, aligned with StoryBrand for a while. Um, but these building blocks that, as you get the foundational stuff working, then you can kind of like level up and start doing other stuff with marketing instead of trying to do everything at the same time. Now, the offer that I was kind of kicking around was kind of like a class of like helping people. I forget exactly I think I called it like the Spark Accelerator, but like spark your efforts and basically help you um, really make an impact with your marketing instead of just doing marketing stuff. So it's kind of like focusing people's efforts. And it was walking people through everything from like, I guess in general speak, kind of like your why and your ideal client, your story, this type of content that comes most naturally to you that you can do consistently, all the way to like auditing and tracking, like what are the key KPIs that you need to make sure that things are actually working for you. So that's kind of like the overall super quick version.
Okay. So these are going to sound cringe, but what I'm at least just trying to do is listen to certain things that you said there and just spit them back of like ways we can twist it using the seven different lenses we went through. Now, I don't have seven ideas for you,
Yeah.
but at least straight away is like one of the biggest things that this would almost be like a contrarian idea lens to look through it, and it would need to marinate a little bit. But to almost just plant a flag and stand behind this belief is like you said, I was focusing on small businesses, startups, and they can't afford it. And it's like, okay, well, in the world that we're heading in, like if I were to plant a flag and stand behind it, is I would build this idea around you can't um how did I want to word this? See, this doesn't make like, but you can't not afford it, right?
Right.
Like with how fast things are moving, with things becoming more and more saturated, with consolidation, with the scalability of AI, like you can't not afford it. Again, it sounds cringe. It sounds probably like dumb, but you said that like three times in one long sentence. Like these people, their objection, and it's the objection, the number one objection in the world. I can't afford it.
Right.
But it's like I wouldn't use that like in a sales call or something like that. But if I was talking, like if I was just writing content, I would put a line in the sand of like, a quote. I can't afford this in my marketing. And it's like I would write a post that's like, here's why you can't not afford it. That sentence doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The other thing, okay, this is very cringe, but it could be something there. Is taking what's his name? Story brand. I can't think of his name right now.
Donald Miller.
Yeah, Donald Miller. Like I would take story brand and relabel it something that is more meaningful to you, right? Because that's
Yeah.
essentially you're trying to articulate that for your clients, right? The Simon Sinek, the Donald Miller, the like, what's the story behind it? What's the why behind it, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can take that. I'm not the first ever person that says start with your offer, right?
Right.
But take that and make it your own. It's a different lens of looking through it. And again, these need some work, but I think I'd have to take another look at your offer, which I'll try to find. Um, I think a lot of it is going to be like, this is maybe something we need to teach like kindergartners or something, but we think confidence comes from like, you need to learn and prepare, then you'll be confident. When I think confident is like actually doing it more and more and more. So it's like taking the cringe idea, putting it out into the world more and more. Then you become more confident and more known for it and more, aha, it makes sense with the recipient rather than I need to conjure up this perfect idea and make sense of it. So
Yeah. That resonates because that's I mean that's the it's better to be done than perfect. But that's where I get stuck a lot.
yeah, I think we like full transparency. I think we all do. Like again, I'm not trying to just be um, what's the term like oh poor me, but like I deal with is CWC is creators who convert like even the idea I have behind it like you're also converting your life is that like stupid like I still deal with that but I'm also trying to be confident and behind it of like no this is my idea I think you can when you have the right tool set you can convert your life and part of that is me just planting my pole and sticking to it. I do think this will be the last. I know I'm long winded, and whenever I say I'm talking a lot, that means I'm doing a bad job coaching. But um, I would take this because what you were saying to me as like an opener, as like a first response, be like, I'm working on this. This is my offer. This is who I'm helping with. And the struggle I've had is people can't afford it. And just rattle off for like 2 minutes and then press enter it's going to be smart enough to know like oh say more about this or what do you mean by this specific word or it's designed to take you that way and just be a sounding board for you um and then again the invitation is there like post it send it to me get some feedback on it because when we're this close to it automatically I feel like by default we're like this came up as crap when
Yeah.
usually it's not. So, of
Sounds good. Thanks, John.
course.
Hey,
Yeah, the 80% of the work is done, the rest, the 20%. I think I read that in a Kevin Kelly book where he's like, when you're 80% done, um, or the last 20% takes 80% of the effort, something like that. It's like, yeah, definitely. Oh, Jeremiah, what's up, dude?
hey, John, can you hear and see me?
I can see you, I can hear you.
Fantastic. All right. So, yeah, thanks for putting this on. Really appreciate it. So, I've been working with this a little bit with my offer, and I think just at this stage, I have a couple of questions, just to clarify the process. So with the offer, the one-page offer, I've got the 1 hour project set up. We're only adding the one big idea into that project after we complete this entire interview process with one big idea, right?
Yeah, I would take, so you know how it gives you like the list, it gives you like the little description of
Right.
each idea, of how like ready it is, or how robust it is. I forget the exact terminology, but I would just, there's no right, like perfect right way to do it, but I would take that either in a document, a markdown file, whatever it gives you, and say, go back into the 1 hour offer project
Okay.
and say, hey, I've been working with these big ideas that I want to weave in and add texture to this, to my one page offer. And I would probably, with the most final draft of the offer that you have, add that into the chat as well and say, help walk me through. Is there any way of weaving the big ideas that we have populated here into the offer to add more texture to it?
Okay.
And we're just going to see what comes up, right? There isn't like a perfect prompt I have for you or anything like
Mhm.
that.
Okay.
But it's just like, if we built the offer, and yes, there's the way of magic pilling it and naming it and
Hmm.
the path, but sometimes the path might be clunky. Like, we don't have the one post a day funnel, the one conversations is like, and if it's just like step one is a body analysis, step two is a customized nutrition plan, step three is like, I forget exactly with your offer what we had, but let's just say it's that, right? We have the analysis of who you are, we have the custom diet plan, and then we have the workouts that are 30 minutes a day, 3 days a week. That's generic. Everyone's
Right.
seen that, even though it is valuable and it can help someone.
Mhm.
But if we can take any of the ideas that it gave you and it's like, no, now the first step, the analysis, has an idea wrapped into it.
Mhm.
And the second part of the path has an idea wrapped into it. It's just going to give it, I keep using this phrase, but it's just going to give it more texture, more of a, it's Jeremiah behind this,
Right.
rather than a diet and workout plan for men over 40,
Mhm.
right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And at the start of this call, when you were going through the presentation and just outlining how everything with your brand is the one, right? Which is great because it's easy to process, it's crystal clear. And when you use the example of your wife, right? She's a nutritionist, right?
Mm-hmm. Dietitian. She'd get mad if I said nutritionist.
Okay.
She actually works with cancer patients at a hospital.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's hardcore. But yeah.
Yeah, but what you mentioned about take the Mediterranean diet, for example.
Okay.
Is there some, like magic phrase, right? Or just some kind of spin that you can put on that. So that's what I think that's what I'm trying to just, work through and think through with this because I still don't feel like I have that, like that thing, right? Like something unique. Like you said, it's much of it is just a little generic right now. So I think that's what I'm trying to uncover.
Well, do you have it in front of you? What are some of the ideas that it gave you?
Um, so yeah, so we're still in question answer mode. Still working through it.
Okay.
I don't know if I just haven't given it good enough inputs or answers yet. But we're still in the exchange part in the one
Okay.
big.
Um, well then, yeah, you can keep working through because it will know when it's done. You know, when I've done it, because I've done it a number of times, trying, it's hard because it gets into like, well, when your clients ask you this, and I'm like, well, I'm making up a business and I don't want to force an answer out of the machine. So sometimes it's hard. That's why, like, when we did the office hours previously, I just gave it to you guys to run with it.
Right.
Um, is like, I don't want to, again, like, it's almost like leading a witness. I don't want to lead. So it was hard for me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's a really good point. So, for example, one of the last questions was, what would you call the trap where they're either not doing enough of the right things or too much of the wrong things? What's the pattern you keep seeing, right? Um, and I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what to call that or how to articulate that. But that's just an example of what I'm working through.
so I would tell it that though. Like I would say, like there's plenty of times where be like, I don't know how to articulate that. That's what's so frustrating because I feel
Mm,
like that's, and again, like that's why I've been using Whisperflow or any type of dictation app
right.
is like when I'm unsure, this is how I've tried to build 1 hour offer as well as like when it asks you a question where you're like, I don't actually, where it'll be like, it has the parameters of it needs to be a measurable outcome. And it'll be like, oh, what's the exact amount of pounds you can promise your client they will have at the end of 90 days. And I know we've worked through yours, but let's just say hypothetically, we're like, I don't know. I want you to tell it. I don't know. That's really hard for me to pin down because every client has been different and all these things. And because I want us to stretch our mind and be humble enough to admit, like, I don't have the answers. This is why I'm going through the process.
Mhm.
But I also want us to stretch the robot to try to think, even though the answer hasn't been satisfied. Um, so I would, again, going into your question here, I would tell it, like, I don't know what that track looks like. I haven't been able to articulate it. I
Right.
know I get frustrated when they do this and they fall off. Maybe it's the consistency element. Maybe it's the um like I have no way of knowing they're telling me the truth. I have no
Mhm. Right.
spill as many frustrations you can at it, and just try to be as honest. Like if you don't know, I want you to tell it I don't know.
Mm,
um,
okay.
because that way it just pushes it to think. There's a background. I don't know if it's a program or a prompt or whatever. I'm
Mhm.
not a technical person, but there's background information inside behind this that's connected. Jose can probably help me out, but connected to the Vercel server that makes
Sure.
calls to GitHub. It was a weird thing setting this up, and it's supposed to
Imagine.
only move forward when it satisfies for certain things. So if you don't know, I want you to tell it that.
Mm, okay. Got it.
Um, and even again, this is going to be cringe, but this is part of the exercise. Is like if we were to put Mediterranean diet under the microscope
Yeah.
for your market,
Hmm.
I would have fun with it and be like, okay, so Mediterranean diet, what does that have a lot of? Well, it has a lot of fish, so there's omega-3 fatty acids. It has a lot of like olive oil, and I would think like, okay, someone who's maybe 50,
Yeah.
their joints are going to be hurting.
Hmm.
Can the Mediterranean diet do something with their joints and call it like uh, the not achy joint diet or like
Right. Like,
I would just have fun
yeah,
with
yeah.
it and just
Right.
brainstorm um dumb things like that, dumb in quotes because it's not actually stupid, but
Yeah.
like we're just
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
um,
Something like the anti-inflammation diet or something like that. Right.
Yeah, and I would, if it gets to a point with the the OBI app where it's asking you like what terms or what keywords, what values do you have in a diet, I would tell it like the anti-inflammatory diet,
Hmm.
but I don't even think that is big idea enough. So
Mm,
let's keep, it's something that I've been harping on, like a way to make that more mine, um, to just keep pushing it
yeah.
because there's something there, right? Um, I don't know exactly what it is off the top of my head right now, but
Yeah.
even anti-inflammatory, that in itself is more specific in diets. There's a way to take anti-inflammatory and make that into a big idea. I'm just
Mm,
calling it something else,
right.
right? Um, and so I would hold on to it and play with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. I'm just thinking through as you're saying that something like I don't know, like the younger joints diet or the smooth joints diet, something. Yeah, that's not it, right? But I'm just trying to think.
Exactly.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
that.
like take the word joint and
Hmm.
think about all the synonyms. Take the word like smooth, think of synonyms. Take, even my wife absolutely hates him, but Stephen Gundry,
Yeah, yeah.
you hate him too?
I'm somewhat neutral.
Okay. But his
I don't know about some of the things he says, but
yeah, well, his thing is like there are some vegetables that are bad for you,
mm,
right? And
mhm.
he might be treading in like the false
Like
dietary information realm. I don't want you to do that.
pseudoscience, right?
Yeah, but maybe there's a way of spinning like a like my again, I don't know if there's anything here for you, but my wife hates the term superfoods, right? Like goji berries and things. She hates it.
That one I share. I think it's stupid.
So maybe there's something there where like you're drawing a line in the sand of hating the superfood community.
Mhm,
I don't know.
mhm.
There's so many different vantage points here that we can look at it.
Yeah.
It just takes the time of like, articulating the things that I don't like or the frustrations that I have with the
Hmm.
industry or the things I don't know how to articulate necessarily, but I know there's something there like that's all valuable information. Um, for right now or even when using this or anything. So
Yeah. Okay. All right. Got it. Thanks, John.
have you
Appreciate it.
have you found any more like long form thread content that has been inspiring to you?
Yes, I have actually. I found some good examples. So I actually had a Hussein and I jumped on a call last week.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, it was a really good call. And one of the things I've realized I'm also trying, I think working through and just grappling with, right, is in building the personal brand. Um, like Hussein, that for example, right? He writes about like psychology, fitness, mental health, building his business, right? All those things. So when I look at some of the creators in my space, you take like you had mentioned Marcus Philly, Dan Go, of course, is another really big one. Um, it's like 99% of what they post about, right, is all based around fitness, building strength, fat loss, and things like that. But one of the things that Hussein and I had talked about was like just expanding the niche to a point where there's relevance for um, for topics that would help me build a following. That not 100% of it just has to be all fitness or fat loss based, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, there's always an opportunity for like auxiliary um, pieces of it. Um, he is a great resource to have when doing that. The one thing is like you're going to, because I can just tell your conviction. I know how hard you're working. Like you're going to have pieces once you start doing long form, especially that are going to pop. The
Mm.
one thing I don't want you to fall into the trap is like when something pops to just chase that over everything else. I
Hmm.
don't think you will, but it's always something I just want to like double down on because it can easily turn into a slippery slope of like just chasing distribution and virality over like what's the goal? What's the end goal,
Hmm.
right? I mean, I guess if your end goal is just 1 million followers, go for it.
Hmm.
But if you want to have the back end business behind it too, there's a slippery slope of like if I start doing I don't know. I'm trying to think because like when you're in the health space, like you can venture into mental health, you can venture into diet, you can do exercise, you can do stretching, you can even do like sauna stuff. Like there is a wide variety of things you can do that still funnel into help
Right.
help you become lose 2 pant sizes and 20 pounds for men over 40.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. But I think the challenge with that though, I think is what you're saying is that the broader you go, the more you risk just having followers, not necessarily customers, right? Or clients.
right. And it's a very addictive like lever to pull.
Hmm.
Like when I first started, I still think it served my brand, but I was pulling on this lever early on in Twitter where I was venturing into like persuasive writing, copywriting, persuasive writing, and the psychology behind it. And what I started to do was I just started to do like long form, so like thread posts that were like 10 psychology docs that'll help you improve your copywriting.
Okay.
And they were going bananas.
Hmm.
And that was very like then I would do like psychology TED Talks, psychology docs, psychology, and it was just like I knew I could pull this lever and the post would do really well, but I don't think I was targeting the person that could actually benefit from my business for the sake of feeling really good that these posts were going crazy.
Right.
And so there is I don't think you're going to fall into this, but I just wanted to at least articulate that like once they do start popping because they will. Um I still want you to have like the the reminder of like why am I doing this? Like who am I targeting? Who am I talking to? Why am I talking to them?
Yes.
Um and I think you'll be fine, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
double click
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. So still focusing primarily on authority-based content then, right? I think when we were on the office hours, I think you said 7:30, right? Like amusement or 70/30 authority amusement, right?
Yeah, I would. And even yeah, don't go more than in the beginning. I wouldn't go more than 50% amusement. That's I think a good way of articulating what I'm trying to say here is like don't go full on all amusement content. Cuz then you just memify yourself, you turn yourself into a commodity and it's like, "Oh, Jeremiah's here again with just a post about, you know, um that's just entertainment, but I'm not actually like learning something and I'm
Right.
not actually being drawn into his expertise because that's what like is really going to make the shift for you. Um, so yeah, if you do 10 posts, I'd say the limit, like if 5 of them are like the wide, I can talk about, the really broad stuff, I think you're going to be okay. But if you do 10 posts and 7 of them are the way too wide stuff, you're going to start to go down that slippery slope where it's like, dang, I'm growing an audience fast. Yeah, you're just growing the number though. You're not actually growing, like, you're not activating any of that audience. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I think because you're asking these questions and you're thinking about it, like, I think you know what will be, um, well, what will be amusement, what will be authority, but if you're kind of just pressing that button a little bit too much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good insight. Well, insight and reminder to um yeah, I would say to keep high visibility as I continue to work on this.
Mhm. And setting up too, I mean, I guess the safeguard against it that not a lot of people do, but I'm here as your resource. Hussein will know enough about this too, but setting up some type of, we talked about this in the last office hours, was setting up a lead magnet,
Yeah.
right? Because that will actually capture the person who cares more about their end transformation, which you can help them out with,
Mhm.
than if it's a piece of content about Alex, or is his name Alex? Andrew Huberman,
Yeah.
for instance, right? Like if someone goes and still gets maybe it's about zone one versus zone two through the eyes of Andrew Huberman on a podcast because he was talking to Rich Roll. That's pretty amusement,
Mm.
but it gets down to a lead magnet that helps you with super easy zone one cardios that'll help you lose 5 pounds in a month. Um, those people who take you up on that lead magnet are going to be buying into your world. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what going back to like Dan Go is a great example. I don't know if you look at any of his work, but like the majority of what he posts, particularly on Instagram, has a CTA with a lead magnet.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, so it's relevant enough to the point that you're trying to get in front of your clientele, your audience who has a higher likelihood of wanting to buy something or work with you.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. Give me 1 second. Because I do think an example of someone who hasn't publicly said that they're a billionaire, but I believe that they are. Okay. Hormozy did this video about his cookbook because he's jacked. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure he's on the stack, whatever though. He is jacked. He doesn't really talk about the food because he's more business, obviously,
Right.
right? He did this 2 years ago, and I haven't seen another like food video from him.
I remember this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was all just dysfunctional eating, right? Where he talked about a bowl of yogurt, which I have about, I think I do like 300 or maybe it's 200 grams of yogurt every morning.
Hmm.
Because I crash hard with carbs. So I do a little bit of dried oatmeal, whatever.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
He
I,
does
I'm,
like,
I'm the same way, actually.
yeah, he does fruity pebbles on top of your, okay, this is the first one.
Yeah.
And he's like, you put the fruity pebbles on there and then you eat it before it gets soggy. And I'm like, and then he had like a casserole dish.
Yeah.
I'm like, this just seems like dysfunctional eating to me. But whatever, that's just my take. I'm married to a dietitian for God's sakes. My
Right.
brain is always going to be warped when it comes to food now. But
Sure.
um, again, the point of me showing you this is like he did this, I think, as an experiment
Hmm.
because he's smart. He knows what he's doing. 1.3 million views. This is probably roughly average of what he gets. I would not be surprised if he was tracking the metrics on the back end to see what the lead gen was from this, even tagging those people to go through whatever type of funnel that he has to see what the like average value per lead was from someone like a video on this versus a video where it's way more focused on business building, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
because he could easily do more like that. He's jacked and
Yeah.
people know he loves fitness
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think he knew that the value per view for his audience was not equal to the value per view of a more targeted piece of content. Does all of that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so there's ways to do it for you. Again, you even said like Dan Go is more specific. That's by design. The dude's a
Right.
multimillionaire.
Oh,
Whereas like, yeah, maybe he could do like how I built the X million dollar business, fitness business, but I don't know if his audience at this point is going to care that much.
Right.
Right? Someone like you would, because you're in that niche trying to
Right.
do the same thing. But most of his audience, I think, is more concerned about like, I think he said he's 50. A piece of content just came up of his recently for me, and he was doing like pelvic stretches and stuff like that. Like that's
Oh
what
yeah.
those people care about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm rambling a little bit.
No, all good. So did Hormozy, did he do a cookbook from that? Do you remember or no?
I think for sure he did a here, let's actually see. I hope it's not too loud.
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, I know it was 2 years ago, but I thought I remembered him mentioning one, but I didn't know if he actually did.
Okay, so free scaling roadmap, so business, easiest business I can help you start, business. I thought he did an ebook at least with this video. But maybe he didn't. Let's see, just oh yeah. He was like pouring. I don't see anything with a book. Maybe he did. Um, yeah, this he was doing egg whites with protein powder and like salsa,
Okay.
which I get it from a macro perspective. Like I get why he's doing it.
Right.
Maybe it's because I worked in restaurants for many years. I'm like, I don't want to subject myself to just eating that, but
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, here's another diet video from 3 years ago. But again, I don't know if him and his team are smart enough to know they're tracking these links
Right. Yeah.
through the entire funnel ecosystem. So
But yeah, that's that's a valid point though.
so that would just be the one thing. Yeah, the one thing that I would be mindful of is don't to take an idea from here.
Mhm.
Don't stray too far from your own North Star, right? Of where you want to take this business. And I think you're going to be fine, but the conversation came up. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. By all means. That's why I love getting on these calls. So, appreciate you sharing that.
so between you and me, and I guess everyone else here,
Yeah.
I have a few things I got to figure out with my own schedule, but I'm thinking about making them twice a month now for the HQ level. Because was it last week or 2 weeks ago? The last office hours I thought was so much fun.
Yeah.
That I'm like, and you think I'm kidding when I say I don't have friends. Those calls are my social hours. So, so I got to figure a couple of things out. But I'll let you guys know if and when I do it. So
Nice. Yeah. Well, if you're taking a vote, you can certainly
okay,
count me.
okay.
Yeah. That would be great if you want to go that route with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I just got a decent amount of things that I got to figure out, whether I'm like out of office or things like that. I want to figure out how I can, if I need to change things around, it's easy to do it. So, but more to come on that. Don't worry.
Right.
You have anything else?
Yeah. I have one other thing that Hussein and I were chatting on next week. I mean, if do you have a few more minutes?
I got plenty of time.
All right. So on the topic of audience building, which is primary focus for me right now, and we had started talking about this on that office hours call as well. But is Twitter or X, is it a platform that I should be putting focus into right now? Based on my niche and my audience. Hussein had also he's leaning toward that it would be, but he had also recommended that I ask you specifically about LinkedIn, right? Since I'm gearing more toward professionals, time poor professionals essentially with my offer. So I know that might be a loaded question, but do you have any thoughts on that as it relates specifically to my offer and my niche?
I think client acquisition is probably going to be um not necessarily there's more money on LinkedIn than there is Twitter with your per capita,
Hmm.
not in total
Right.
on LinkedIn, but actually building the audience there is going to be harder because it's less um the content and that space is just less prioritized over there. Like it's a networking platform for business professionals. So what I would do, I think is going to be your easiest plan of attack. Like I think your two platforms that are going to hold the most value for you. And this is just anecdotally from what I, or like observational from what I've seen mainly from Dan Go
Hmm.
is Twitter and Instagram.
Right.
But I think for like ease of content distribution, the easiest path is going to be Twitter first, repurposing that elsewhere.
Mhm.
So remember how I showed you, like I use Twitter just as my idea generator, and I take like even the screenshot and repurpose that everywhere else.
Right.
Is like, I think for you, so you're not doing like, okay, well, now I got to do an Instagram post and I got to do a LinkedIn post. I think starting on Twitter with your content, with Hussein's help, doing long form, whatever the plan of attack is, and just repurposing that content elsewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if the audience grows faster on X.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking like long term here. Like I'm thinking like a year from now, right? Minimum. That way you can actually track the data. Not saying you're going to get results in a year. You can get
Right.
results quicker than that. But like if we were to track the data a year from now, I think you'd have a bigger audience, a bigger following on Twitter. I think you'd have more revenue generated on LinkedIn and Instagram. Because
Mm.
I just think that it's less, how do I put this nicely? Like X has turned into, for a lot of people, like the health and wellness content feels good when you read it,
Right.
but it's more like this is obviously an unfair generalization, but it's like a dude living in his mom's basement is more of like the population there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I just think more people are more willing to invest on the other two platforms, but I would start with the content there as the testing ground and then redistribute it, syndicate it in other places.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good insight.
And really like what you're doing is you're taking the threads, turning them into carousels for both LinkedIn and Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's very helpful.
Cool. Does anyone else have anything? Or I mean, even you, if you have some more. Um, Otherwise, we can start to wrap this up. I can send it to you guys when it's ready. It's up to you. I'm here to support you guys, give you clarity. But if we're reaching that point to say goodbye, as much as it saddens me, um, we can do that. Okay. You're the man, John. You're in like Milwaukee, right?
Yeah, I'm like if you draw a line between Madison and Chicago, I'm like just north of Rockford on the Wisconsin side of the border.
Oh,
Right
Beloit,
right off of Janesville.
Janesville.
Yep,
I've been to Janesville.
yep. I'm just north of Janesville in a little town called Milton, but yeah, that's where I'm in southern Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, right off 94.
Yep.
I think my brother was in either Beloit or Janesville yesterday,
Yep.
just for business stuff. But
All right.
it's a happening tourist attraction, you know?
Yeah, yeah. We've got Bessie the cow.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'll wrap it up there. For anyone here, if you have questions on this, I'm sure you have my email now that you joined it. Let me know. CWC members, we can tackle this in the community. But yeah, look out for the email coming your way. Hopefully soon. I'll start uploading it as soon as we end this call. But I'm at work with the one belief above. Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks all for coming. Hope you got value, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, John.
Cheers, everyone.